welcome to another edition of VAFA TV. Andrew Leonard and Braden Carey, you've made it back for a second week. Well done.
Yes, Andrew. Pleasure to be back.
Did you enjoy the finals on the weekend?
Yeah, it was a great weekend. I was out at Casey and watched Mazenod triumph over Marshland in quite a good game.
Obviously, we're outstanding tipsters, the both of us. I think we got almost half of them wrong last week of the finalists that made it through to grand finals and won through. Old Brighton being one of the biggest surprises of all, how comfortably they beat Old Trinity out here at Sports Cover Arena.
And of course, your certainty for the round, Hawthorn, who went down to the Northern Blues.
The less said about that, the better. We're going to take a look at all the finals this week and go through our tips as well and see when was the last time your club won a senior premiership of those teams still in the race in a moment. Before we do that, though, let's have a look at the marks and goals of the previous week of the VAFA. Mark A, Aaron Harris, University Blues. Mark B, Reese Thomas, Mazenod. Mark C, Chris Mangoni, St Bede's Mentone Tigers. So I take it to come my own way. Mark D, Michael Dyer, Collegians. They should be so filled my brain. Reality TV, condoning is sleazy. And the girls say they yes please, yes the same ones that cry out. Mark E, Matt Petering, Beaumaris. Vote for your favourite mark from last week at VAFATV.com. The 2XU Goal of the Week. The winner of the 2XU Goal of the Week will receive a men's compression short. Goal A, Nick Juk, Mazenod. Goal B, Chris Mangoni, St Bede's Mentone Tigers. Goal C, Heath Black, Mazenod. Goal D, Brendan Goss, Old Zabarians. Goal E, Tim Doherty, St Bede's Mentone Tigers. Vote for your favourite goal from last week at VAFATV.com. Week in VAFA Media. Of course, we had the VAFA Best and Fairest counts on Inter FM on Tuesday and Wednesday night this week from 8 till 10. Social media was going into meltdown. Braden, you were manning the Facebook and Twitter pages of the VAFA?
Yes, very, very enjoyable. Lots of clubs getting behind the individual players on what was a great night.
Certainly was. Congratulations to all the medalists, to Brendan Yetzi, who wins his third league Best and Fairest, 2 more medals and a Woodrow medal. Lee Fletcher won his second after collecting a more medal in 2010, and this year winning the Division 1 Pepper medal. It was a tie in Premier C.
Yes, very impressive. Jared Carlson doubling up, so 2 years in a row, Premier C medalist, and also Timothy Bourbon, who tied him, so equally as good year. It's great to see, obviously, the two top teams produce 2 medalists.
In Division 4, David Tremewan from Hawthorn, we mentioned them just before. They've got a massive final this week and a preliminary final against Ely Park Sharks. We'll get to that in a moment, so congratulations to David. And in the other divisions, Division 2 was an exciting count.
Yes, James Amos picking up the 3 votes to get over Paul Harris in the last round. Very exciting finish to what was a great year.
And the final winner of the senior best and fairest was Dimitri Dimakopoulos, who picked up his second Hutchison medal in Division 3 for St Francis Xavier. Right, that's the medalists. Well done to them. We've got the Woodrow medal at night, of course, on the 18th of September at Crown's River Room. For those all those Premier clubs, they can get there, get a table there and get your players there. We'll count the full 18 rounds in the River Room on the 18th of September. Let's have a look at what happened this week in the VAFA.
We see games held up for all sorts of reasons, but it's always good to see when an umpire's being sun smart and wanted to go and get his hat. It's been a few weeks since we've had a decent Falcon, but the second semi-final between Marsland and Mazenod delivered. Here it is again in slow motion. Good to see our umpires at St Bede's Mentone Tigers and Beau Morris had dog escorts on the weekend. Look out, here comes another pooch to the middle as well. And there were no dogs amongst these crazy few who dressed up for the day. Anytime there's a draw, it's always down to a frantic finish, and St Bernard's and University Blues was no exception. There was the excitement of an almost mark of the year. Have a look at this one. However, on closer inspection, you'll look and see that the man in the front spot was awarded the mark. Aaron Harris ripping the ball there from Damien Barton. And as the siren sounds, Harris now needs to go and kick this goal to secure a draw for University Blues.
It's an almost footy legend if ever I've seen it.
The odd thing though is Harris is a Kiwi and hasn't played too many games of Aussie rules, as you'll see by his awkward kicking style. Nevertheless, he manages to tumble through a head-high punt, kicking the goal, securing a draw, and University Blues celebrate like it's a win. If only St Bernard's had someone on the goal line.
Now, Braden, you brought some great stats to the VAFA TV show last week. We're going to do it differently this week by taking a look at when was the last time your senior side, or the side still in the running, won a premiership at senior level in the VAFA.
Yes, of course, Northern Blues in the Division 4, obviously yet to win a premiership in our competition. West Brunswick, they were the most recent premiership winners out of the four 5 years ago. And the other two, Ely Park and Hawthorn, haven't won one this century, so I'm sure they'll be looking forward to an opportunity.
Both close. They both won the Division 4 level in 98 and 99 respectively. In Division 3, a bit of a different story there. Kew, who are on top there, they've actually got the second longest wait in terms of all the teams still in it looking for a senior premiership. 34 years since they won a senior premiership back in, the old Premier C in 1979. So long wait for them. Whereas at the other end of the spectrum, you've got St Francis Xavier that won one just a couple of years ago. So all teams in there, you'll see those stats on your screen now. Looking forward to winning a premiership soon.
Yes, and of course in Division 2, Yarra Valley, winners of the Division 3 premiership last year, obviously keeping that form well. And St Mary's Salesian, 17 years since they've won one. I'm pretty sure they'll be pretty keen to get back into the final and back into Division 1.
Of course, they won that as Salesian Old Boys, or Salesian Old Collegians back in the day in 1996. In Division 1, Hampton Rovers, somewhat surprisingly, it's been 12 years since their last flag at a senior level in 2001 there. The other teams in Division 1 section, Williamstown just a few years ago, as did Ormond just about 5 years ago when they last won in 2008.
And in Premier C, of course, Mazenod, the favourites for this season, haven't won one since the turn of the century, 2000. Marcelin 5 years ago and Old Ivanhoe 8 years ago. So both those teams, all three of those teams, looking forward to a massive next 2 weeks.
Well, we mentioned Old Brighton as well. 16 years since they've won a premiership of any sort. That was 1997 in the old B grade, Premier B level. Same for Old Trinity, 1999, their last flag in Premier B section. They've got a preliminary final against Old Melburnians. For OMs, it was just 4 years ago when they won the premiership to get promoted up to Premier grade or Premier section when they won the Premier B flag.
And of course, after winning a premiership in the Premier B, you go up into Premier, and of course Uni Blacks last season winning the Premier B grand final, and they're going up. So obviously it's been a year since they've won one.
The club with the longest record, though, Old Scotch. 1978 since their last senior premiership. It was in the old A grade in 1978. They've managed to stay in, or they've dropped down, 1 year for Premier B, or B grade as it was. Came up as the runners-up, 2 Old Zaverians. Could that be an omen? Could they come back and possibly win a couple of finals in a row, make it 2, and break that drought, that 35-year drought that the Old Scotch Football Club have got going at the moment?
Well, I certainly don't think so, but I'm sure the Old Scotch boys are pretty keen to prove me wrong.
Right, we better start there. Let's have a look at the Premier games this weekend. The second semi-final on Saturday here at Sports Cover Arena. It is Old Zaverians who finished on top against the second place St Bede's Mentone Tigers. These two sides have played twice this season. Who do you like in this game?
Well, I think that St Bede's, I reckon they're carrying the form into this game, and I think they'll get over the top of Old Zavs.
I'm going to go the other way. I think Old Zavs beat St Bede's Mentone Tigers down at Brindisi just a few weeks ago by a few goals, close for most of the day, after the Tigers had beaten Zavs in round 9 by a point when that game was shifted out to Stradbroke Park. But here on Saturday, I'm going for Zavs. And on Sunday, it's Old Scotch and Uni Blacks?
Yes, I like Uni Blacks here. I think they've got a lot more to play for. They're coming up. They want to prove themselves in the Premier, and I just think that they'll be the better team.
Yeah, I watched these two sides last week out at University Oval. Scotch ran up winners by about 8 goals in that game. Not sure what you can read into a round 18 contest when you're playing each other the following week, but on the evidence of what I've seen in the last 5 weeks, let alone just last week, I'm going to go for Old Scotch. Quickly, let's get through the other preliminary finals because there's a few of them. In Premier B, we've got Old Melburnians and Old Trinity. Who do you like?
I like Old Trinity. I think finishing on top, they'll get through.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Old Trinity as well to bounce back from a second semi-final loss there. In Premier C, it's Old Ivanhoe coming up against Marsland. Who's your fancy there?
Well, Marsland finished higher, but I think Old Ivanhoe carrying a bit of form into the final series. I think they'll win.
Yeah, I like Old Ivanhoe as well for some reason in that one. I've just got a feeling about them getting promoted back to Premier B. In Division 1, Williamstown versus Ormond. Have you got a fancy either way there?
Well, personally, I'd like to see a Hampton Rovers Ormond grand final. So
that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Looking forward to that. So I'm going for Ormond.
Yeah, I think Ormond might get the chocolates there as well. Theory Penola had a bit of a shock loss considering how much they've dominated the season in Division 2. They get a second chance though in a preliminary final against St Mary's Salesian, who had a great win against Old Eltham.
Yeah, I don't think we can go past Theory here. I think they got a bit of a shock last week, and I think they'll come out and really drive a good victory home here. Division
3 is the start of the first of the 2 lots of 2 preliminary finals. Q Place and Francis Xavier in the first preliminary final. Who do you like here?
Q, I think the Q are the better team all year, and I think they'll just run away with it.
Yeah, Q for me as well. And the other preliminary final, of course, is Elsternwick up against UHSVU.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Elsternwick, being obviously next to their home ground here at work. So I believe that Elsternwick will get up and win. Yeah,
I think UHSVU might make it through to a grand final and earn promotion there. In Division 4, of course, we mentioned Hawthorn getting reseeded down to 4th spot. They now play the second place side in Ely Park Sharks in an unbelievably crunch preliminary final. Winner goes not only through to a grand final, but they get promotion, which both of these sides would have been almost banking on just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so a very scary weekend for these two. I think Hawthorn will rebound after a somewhat embarrassing loss last week to Northern Blues.
Yeah, Hawthorn for me too, to get over the Sharks, and it's unfortunate for Ely Park, but they might just miss the window to get promoted there as well. In the other preliminary final, it's West Brunswick, and they're taking on Northern Blues, who did so well to beat Hawthorn last week.
Yes, I think I think the Northern Blues carrying on some form. I think they just might be the Smokies to go through and maybe even win the competition.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't mind you thinking on that one, but I think their run might come to a halt because they've got under-19s that are playing in a prelim as well, and they might just want to drop a few of those players back to their under-19s to try and win that final. We'll see how it goes.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Well, lots of other finals this week. There's under-19 finals everywhere. Hope you've enjoyed this edition of VAFA TV. We'll be back next week to preview some grand finals and, of course, the Premier Preliminary Final. Hope you enjoy the footy this weekend.
Good luck, everybody. Thank you.
See you, bye.